So this video, which will be a little more lengthy than a lot of my other videos, is we're going to get more into the nitty gritty. So I have sunbeams changing on me momentarily, and I keep having to adjust where I'm sitting. Just poking a little space in the window. Okay. Getting to the nitty gritty, whatever you want to call it. We're going to really get into it a little bit more, as briefly as I can for you. So I do recommend you watch the other video before this one, which was how do I convert my artwork. So I'm going to really fast give you the run through just for the stubborn folk that don't want to go back, but you should go watch that one. It's only 5 minutes. But basically, the way we all convert our artwork is you either use a scanner or you use a phone, which is either digital or it's a cell phone. And those qualities will as long as you make sure the lighting is okay. If it's on paper, make sure there's no buckles, make sure there's no shadow on the paper. But other than making sure the condition in the room is okay, if you're taking a photo or flattening it out on the scanner, other than that, what we all do is, whether it's photos or whether it's artwork, we convert it that way. And when we do that, it's converted automatically to a digital format called Pixels. And if you were to put it into, say, an art program and zoom in far enough, you see the picture starts to break down and you start to see it's made of color pixels, colored squares. And so that's what, when we take our vacation photos and we put them up, when we do our own artwork and scan it and put it up on our Facebook page, those are pixelized image. Okay, so that's Pixels. Then there's vector. So you have two choices. You can do that, or you can take it up a notch, which professionals do, and that is vectorized. Not to say professionals don't use pixels, they do, but vectorized is very specifically used by professionals. So when you go outside and you see billboards or posters, or you go to the movie theater and you see the movie posters just as you're going in, those are vectorized, created in vectorized programs. So you're basically in the world when you're looking at digital things or converting things over or creating things. You're either if it's digital, you're either doing it pixels or vectorized. Okay. And so that's how you convert your artwork. You just take a photo and scan, and then it's just an option. Do you want to keep it in pixels, or do you want to up the ante and pop it into a vector program? But that's it. That's how you convert it. Scans or photos. It's all digital these days. That's automatically, you have a digital image. It's pixelated. You're good to go. Okay. So now let's get a little deeper, because I mentioned that you zoom in on the other one and you see pixels. So let's give you a more understanding of vectorized. So what happens when we say we convert an image, instead of just leaving it as pixels when we scanned it or photographed it, but say we pop it into Adobe Illustrator, which is what I only use as a 16-year veteran and artist in children's books. I do everything and only do everything in Adobe Illustrator. Everything. From text to design to formatting to the artwork. A lot of people are intimidated by it, because tools are so easy in the other free programs like Procreate. They think they don't exist in the other one, but no, anything you can do one, you can do the other. And so much more with vector, in my opinion, as it relates to other tools and polish and digital effects, and especially converting. So what you can do if you want more versatility with your pixelated version that you scanned or photographed, what you can do is go to a vectorized program like Adobe Illustrator, pop it in, and with 2 clicks of a button, what it does is it scans the photo. So it rescans it again. It rescans this digitalized, scanned or photographed, and it rescans it again at really top quality. And then what it does is it mathematically, instead of converting it to pixels, because it's actually taking it from pixels, what it does is it converts it to what can best be described as puzzle pieces. And it decides where to cluster things in these puzzle pieces. Unlike a person might decide, oh, I'm going to cluster all the whole eyeball and everything in the eyeball. It may do that. It may take part of the eyeball and part of the eyebrow too. Who knows? it decides for best quality where to do that. And you don't know it's doing it unless you hit a button that's to say reveal the lines. Then it'll show you all these lines and it shows, oh, this, it's all up like a puzzle. But when you don't hit that feature, if you're looking at it just straight on, or then you say save it as a JPEG and you pop it online or you print it, you can't see those puzzle pieces. Even if you zoom in, if you pop it in a program, you can zoom in, you won't see, it won't break down into pixels. So that's vectorize, when you convert to vectorize. And and before I forget, one of the real biggest reasons I always say, you get way more options, and there are so many more options to polish your work in vector, or even just create it like I do in the first place, but polish and create everything in there. One of the reasons is Pixels can be great, but it has its limits. It has its limits for outside use. For instance, if you want to now, say you do a children's book in Procreate and you leave it as Pixels, okay, that's fine. And you hire a formatter, which is going to cost you money, and he gets it into a high quality enough pixel format to be printed on the platform you're using, KDP or whatever it is you're using. Great, good stuff. Now let's just say you want to advertise out in public and say you find this little publisher and they want to put it up on a billboard. Well, that pixelated image you're going to have to get a formatter again and do some magic with it and all kinds of magic tricks so that those pixels don't show. So it's not as versatile. It can be, but it always takes reformatting, really, basically, for lack of a better word. And I'm not a techie, by the way, so this is a layman teaching a layman. So you have limits. And one of the other limits, and as an actual artist, this bugs me, so that's why I prefer Adobe Illustrator, is say you want to take an image or something you've created outside and you pop it into your program to polish it up. In a pixelated program, if you try to stretch that image lengthwise or widthwise, it will break down because of the pixels. It will distort it if you really stretch it. But when I'm in, whether it's I've popped in a photograph and converted it, or I've popped in an artwork and converted it, or I've drawn something in vector from scratch, I can pull it lengthwise. So let's say it's a little boy. The little boy in Pixel program, when I go to pull it, it's going to distort. When I pull it lengthwise in vector, he just becomes a chubby kid. Or if I stretch it lengthwise, now he's just skinny. But it looks perfect. It doesn't distort. He doesn't start looking like a different kid. It's the same thing. Same if you drew a plant, or it's a photo of a plant. It'll just look like a fatter or skinnier plant. So you can manipulate it a little bit here and there with no distortion. So that's a big key of the benefits. And the other benefit I said, I hinted to with Pixels is you're going to need a formatter if you want to put it up on Billboard. If you were to go to my website, flowerandthegiant.ca, right now, assume you're probably on your cell phone, you will see that as soon as it comes up, it looks crisp. And if you zoom in, there's a cartoon of me standing there, you zoom in, it still keeps looking crisp, and at no point will it break into pixels. But it's crisp. If you were then to take it and go to your big screen TV, most of our big screen TVs have internet capability. If you were to bring up my website, flowerandthegiant.ca, on your big screen TV, you'll see it is just as crisp. And if you were to then zoom in there, you can keep zooming till the cows come home, and you'll just see the little pupil in the eye that I drew. You'll just see everything I did, but it'll be crisp. I can also, that's the same file. I don't have to change it for the occasion like you do Pixels. Same with the billboard. You can take that same file that you're looking at on your phone or your big screen TV. I don't have to change the file. I just hand it to the billboard people, and they can make the biggest billboard. They can put it in New York Square, and all my artwork, my children's books, anything I have on my Facebook pages would look super sharp on there. So that's why I love vector. It's more options for manipulating, like I said, the image itself, lengthwise, heightwise, but especially for the outside uses, printing or online. You're good to go. Where Pixels, you may or may not be. You may have to fuss with it. It's got some, yeah. So that's it. Those are the plus and minuses. I've covered the differences of what it actually is. And one last thing I didn't cover is drawing, the difference in drawing and Procreate, the pixelated program. When you're drawing in pixelated, it just looks like, if you choose a paintbrush, it looks like you're using a normal paintbrush. And so you don't really see what you're doing, you're just seeing the effects. When I draw, say a person in a vectorized program like Adobe Illustrator, when I'm drawing, little gray tabs are showing numbers that are changing as I'm moving my hand, as I'm moving the cursor. And it's for my benefit, just to show me. And one says width and one says height. It's telling me right now you're drawing this plant, this stem of a plant. It's 6 inches. Now it's 7 inches. Now it's, and it's keeping, and the reason it's doing, so it's showing me that as a tool, but what is that for its own sake, it's the reason it's doing that is it's calculating every move I'm doing, not just height and width, but angles and saturation colors and effects. It's remembering everything mathematically as I'm doing it. So same with Pix to a certain form. Math is, of course, it's computers, it's pixels, it's math. It's still math, but specifically using math in a very specific way in vectorized programs, be it converting your artwork or specifically when I'm drawing, it's remembering the math of everything you're doing. And that's why it's so sharp and crisp. And because it remembers the math, that's why I can take my little boy in vector program and I can stretch him lengthwise, because it remembers every tiny bit of angle and math. When I stretch it, it doesn't distort. It just, the boy becomes chubby. And it doesn't look like a different boy now. It's the same boy. And I can make him thin, and now he's just lost weight. So I hope that helps you. We're at 11 minutes. I think I did pretty good on that one. 12 minutes now. That's the difference between vector and pixels in layman's terms. And that is my reasons why I prefer to exclusively work in and polish all my projects in vectorized programs, specifically Adobe Illustrator.